All right, this morning, I want to start out with a good one. And this one is, it came a day too early from our boy LevelCap, I think. It's called Star Citizen's Meltdown is over. Now, I'm gonna say, is it? It's hard to say. So let's see what LevelCap has to say here.
Star Citizen may finally be putting the dark days of its major instability behind it. Last night, the devs released patch 3.19 to the live servers, and so far, so good. The new patch is absolutely loaded.
Until yesterday. So today is the 19th at 7:05 a.m. Eastern time. Apparently last night it was like completely down. I started seeing inventory delays, quantum travel. Like I started seeing the very not Xenothreat level of problems, but they had a major outage. I'm starting to see there's some things creeping back in, right? And that scares me for what's going to happen at noon Eastern today, which is when Invictus launches, Free Fly starts. I think, to quote the title of the video, I think the Meltdown may have been paused, but I think we have another one incoming, possibly.
With features and mechanics, but they all come as an afterthought to the general stability of the game. CIG released their previous 3.18 update in early March, and well, honestly, the game has been barely playable since. That's over 2 months of extreme instability issues.
Not to forget that 3.18 was supposed to release at the end of last year. Right? 3.18 was supposed to be the December patch. It released in March, and it was horrible.
And fairly serious blockers breaking just about every mechanic in the game.
Have I survived?
But last night, I loaded up the new patch and played for a good 4 hours and didn't run into any blockers or major issues. And that was with some server queue times as well, so it sounds like the back end was pretty stressed. I think many players were actually staying up late to play the new patch. Now, it's entirely possible that the state of things will degrade over time, but for the moment, I'm riding on the hopium that this game is finally locking in its crazy persistence tech and moving on to further refinement and the next major hurdles.
I don't think they've locked it in, but it's very clear that they've gotten over that hurdle of the initial 3.18 release. But I think we have quite a few more hurdles to go, like a lot more. So I think like the really big one of like players just straight up not being able to log in, dealing with like realizing the way they've been developing Star Citizen is sort of problematic with the way our inventories work and you know, just finding out everything they needed to find out. Yeah, it's good. So I think it's getting better. It's not a good situation. I don't know why I said it's good, but I think we have a few more hurdles to climb over, and I don't know what a few means. It could be 3, it could be 300, but I think my experience in the game is gradually getting better, and I think that's why Level made this video, is he's suffered through this as much as any of us have, you know, and the ability to log in and play and just not have like these catastrophic issues is kind of a breath of fresh air, you know?
People I spoke with had similar experiences playing the game last night, with the overall stability working well and some occasional weird bugs popping up here and there. Now, one of the first things I did was test out one of the cooler new features, which are the basic salvage missions, and they went off without a hitch. I paid a fee, got some coordinates, went out there, found some derelict ships, started scraping them for materials. I even crafted a multi-tool and tractor beam attachment, and I loaded up my Vulture with 13 SCUs of scrap metal and then took it down to Orison to sell for about 100k. For the most part, it worked flawlessly, though I did get an issue where landing the Vulture cost.
That's like 100 times easier than mining, by the way. Like, I'm pretty sure I mined this gold rock yesterday that was super hard to mine, and it took me like forever, right? And I ran into all sorts of like weird issues and stuff. And when I calculated what I would end up with for that specific rock, I think it was about 100K, right? But the thing is I'm gonna go on like a little kind of tangent here. Is that I see so many people comparing salvage or mining or anything that you do to like, well, I could just do bounties and make 200K an hour or whatever, right? And yeah, but like these things are more fun, right? These things are more engaging. These things feel more space simmy to me, so I enjoy them. Like, who cares? Skill issue? I mean, honestly, yeah, probably true.
Caused Orson to warn me like
we've been
4
doing
minutes
for
later that they were impounding my ship,
you know?
for obstructing a flight bay, but at least it didn't delete my cargo. And I was able to sell it for no problem and still get my ship back. Then my buddy and I took a more expensive salvage mission in the hopes of finding some pricey loot. The mission triggered properly and spawned in a whole bunch of salvageable ships, and we were able to explore them and look for rare loot and even strip some of the weapons off of the ships. I was able to upgrade my cutlass weapons by stripping them from a disabled ship, which is one of the cool new 319 features.
That's one of the
this
coolest
could actually
things.
save you quite a bit of credits depending on what guns that you're upgrading. And eventually the internal components of ships will also be strippable, which will be super interesting if you can actually find some of the higher end ones. This could...
What does he got? He's got like 3 waste and probably like processed food there. He's got like 500 credits there.
Save you a lot of money in the long run. Now, next up, I tested other mission loops that I like to run regularly, like bounty hunting other ships, bunker running, and even an 890 jump mission. They all worked without any major blockers, though AI still behave like lobotomized sloths when it comes to their reaction time. And sadly, that's probably just going to be a constant for Star Citizen until the server meshing tech, or even dynamic server meshing, gets added into the game. That said, the patch is supposed to have updated AI behavior pretty thoroughly, so if you do get engaged with enemies, they're supposed to have more spread to their shots, so you're not just laser beamed insta-death immediately. And hopefully...
For me, that's been my experience. When they have reacted, it's been a much more decent experience. But having them react is still, not a regular occurrence, right?
You'll have time to actually react to getting shot, heal yourself up if you're bleeding or taking damage.
That right there is the perfect example.
Re-engage. If this update actually improves that situation, it could be a huge quality of life upgrade. As for the rest of the features, there's a new Ghost Hollow PvP mission, which I haven't been able to try out yet.
It's
an
awesome.
actual new player experience, which will hopefully ease new players into the game. This has been sorely needed for a long time, and from what I've seen, it seems like a good first step to the process. Loreville, the first major landing zone in Star Citizen, has seen a massive visual update increase.
It looks great in screenshots, guys. One frame per eternity. It looks great.
Its scale, atmospherics, and spectacle in just a truly impressive way. There's also a major overhaul to pretty much everything to do with mining, which I did show off in my last Star Citizen video, but if you're into mining, the experience is just completely overhauled. You can now do 4-person mole mining and have it be extremely viable way to make money. Other resources like gold are now worth mining a lot, not just Quantanium. There's new hand minables that have value to them. There's all sorts of modules and laser head updates to change their power properties and how effective they are and what they do. And there's new refining and selling prices. This also includes a complete resource update to what types of rocks you'll find, where you'll find them, where they sell for more and where they sell for less, how big the new rocks can be. Generally speaking, this has been a less touted feature of 319 since mining isn't everyone's jam, but it is a huge upgrade, and you may just find yourself on a mole laser at some point sucking up some of that gold. Now, they also
Nah.
updated the Density Manager system to deal with the new persistence tech so that mission entities and things that drop by mission, such as corpses, guns, and debris, will be cleaned up when the area is streamed out. Basically, this balances out all the craziness from patch 3.18 much better. I'm sure there will still be more improvements needed.
I mean, basically, for what that means is that there were, like, you would come to a bunker and there would just be like guns everywhere. There would be bodies everywhere. There might be like 50 to 100 bodies just at the bottom of a bunker, and we were like, "Excuse me, what?" So then they finally were like, "All right, so when a player leaves the bunker, we're gonna reset it and make it like new." You know, so when a new player, since we like reuse these locations, they were like, yeah, so PES is pretty cool, but if we're just gonna, continuously spawn in enemies and create these like kind of one-off scenarios that are repeated, well, PES really can't be a thing in those locations
For this over time, and it's hard to test right when there's a brand new server, as items and things haven't built up quite yet. So
and like when we say PES, we mean like persistence. Like, I drop this thing here, I leave it there forever, I come back to it. And I think that's the underlying problem with the message that they send versus the actual experience, right? Is like, people, yeah, like, why push this as this like oh yeah, we're doing persistence differently than, but you're not, like, where it matters, you're not. So it's kind of, it's an interesting one. I think it's more, as always, something more for like down the line stuff, for like our own locations if we own them. Maybe it'll be more unique, maybe it'll be better. But in so many ways, it was like a way longer and more complicated process to do the same things that we have in other video games, is what it feels like from a player perspective at the moment when it comes to PES. But hopefully it's like maybe more performant or better in the long run. I don't know,
It'll be interesting to test this out in, say, a week. Now, a more controversial change has also been added to the game, and that's the insurance claim times and prices for insurance have increased massively.
Yeah.
My stance on this is that while I believe the final goal of Star Citizen should be kind of a high-risk, high-reward play style and to stay alive as long as possible, very much like other survival games, the current general stability and issues of the game cause way too many situations where you need to claim your ship due to game bugs and not player issues. So
yeah, I mean, like, if you do not have 30K recovery working properly, like, here's my baseline. If you do not have 30K recovery working properly, you really shouldn't have done this. My other, feelings around this are just straight up, we do need to start getting punishment, right? We do need to start having punishment for death. That's it. Consequences need to be in the game, but they shouldn't be in the game if the things that are out of your control, and the only thing that is really out of your control is a 30K, right? Which is, in case you guys are, watching this and don't know Star Citizen for some reason, is a server crash, essentially, right? You got kicked out, or the server crashed entirely. And then when you come back, your ship's in a state where you would have to like wait a timer or pay a lot of money to get it back. And it's not a good situation, right? It's not a good situation at all that we have right now with that. So the timing of this is terrible, but I also feel like it's time to also rip the Band-Aid off. And I do think that many players on, Reddit, Spectrum, YouTube, Twitter, that are talking about this often call their own stupid mistakes a bug when it's not,
Increasing the insurance time and price is just going to punish players more for game issues than their own
It's not a
poor
bug
decisions.
that you crashed
I think
in the
it's
hangar.
just bad timing to integrate this feature right now. Another new thing with 3.19 is the reduced inventory stock of ship weapons, missiles, and ship components sold at rest stops and stations. This will be interesting as I believe the goal is to make players rely more on finding and stripping these items versus just buying them. They also added in the Corsair Cutter and C8R Pisces, which I believe is the medical Pisces, to the in-game shops so that anyone looking to grind for these ships in-game can now do so. Notably, they did leave out the Drake Vulture from being a purchasable item in shops, as I think they really want to squeeze a little more cash out of the player base for this year's Invictus ship sales. And speaking of Invictus, one of the biggest ship sales for Star Citizen is coming up.
Try not to rant. Try not to rant. Try not to rant. That's a joke.
Up in a few days.
It's only been 6 months that they've been squeezing. But okay.
It's also a pretty cool in-game event that's going to take place in ArcCorp with fleet operations around Stanton, showing off the massive Bengal carrier and other major capital class ships. I believe there's also going to be a free fly event going on with it, which again will hopefully be much more stable for people wanting to try out the game for the first time. And if you're creating a new account for the first time, be sure to use
his code's on the screen. But newsflash, it won't be.
my referral code linked in the video description to get some extra in-game credits. Now, at least one new ship is also launching with Invictus, that is the Mirai Fury. This thing looks really cool and it's a snub fighter that packs a punch with 4 weapon hardpoints. It also folds up super tiny and has no quantum drive, so it does have to be ferried over longer distances, but because it's so small, it seems like a lot of ships will actually be able to carry one of these, if not more. It also comes in 2
Stolen? Yeah. I'm like 99% sure he asked him, and when he was trying to get the Fury, it probably wasn't open. You had to get lucky to get to the MISC show floor during PTU, basically. It was really annoying.
Flavors. One that's kitted out with 4 weapons and an
Fury?
MX variant that offers 20 missiles.
Like 5 hours from now.
Once missile gameplay is a bit more refined, that could be an attractive option. The days of pocket carriers will soon be upon us once there's an actual reason to have pocket carriers. Overall, it seems like patch 3.19 is really what patch 3.18 should have been. A more stable version of the new persistence tech loaded with features to take advantage of it. It's been a rough couple of months for fans of the game, especially people who like to play Star Citizen somewhat regularly. Hopefully there aren't any major server degradation issues with this one.
I mean, he's just killing NPCs stuck in the spawn point.
New servers tend to perform well, while the older servers suffer memory leaks and other problems, so only time will tell, but I'm actually starting to get excited about playing Star Citizen once again, which honestly is a great feeling. There's a lot to look forward to. Have you guys been playing the new patch yet? If so, let me know how it's been going for you. And
so he sold the good stuff and didn't sell the waste because I guess he couldn't sell it where he was.
Next up, check out this mining video where we use 2 fully crewed moles to crack some of the biggest rocks in the game. It's actually pretty cool and you don't want to miss it. As always, guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.
Thank you, Level. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see on the stability. I think it will certainly be better than 3.18's launch, but we don't know how much better. That's sort of the issue here. We'll have to see how much better, because man, it's already starting to show the signs.